Thanks for joining us today. I'm here with the Managing Director of Strategic Architects, Nigel Schmalkuche.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
I understand you developed a cloud assurance framework and that this was well received at the Australian Government Cloud Summit this year. Can you tell me why you developed the framework?
I developed the framework because it was important to have the cloud assurance across the movement to the cloud, for instance. So with the cloud, you have the obvious benefits. So you've got the things like the ability to have digital services and digital delivery. You've got the flexible, agile solutions that you can build. You've got the cost efficiencies that you can bring in. You've got mobile capabilities that you can have, and you can also have feature-rich software that you can get with software as a service apps.
Right.
With all the expansion across the globe, there's the increased concern about that could be security vulnerabilities in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And with that, there's been an increased focus on security.
Right. So the cloud assurance framework that you developed is predominantly about security, or are there other assurance assessments?
Yeah, security is one of the most important parts of the framework, but there's many other parts that are important. So when you look at the total framework, you've got suitability, you've got information classification, you've got financial, you've got the readiness assessment, you've then got the migration, you've got the security, vendor, and then you've got the risk.
Right. So did you start with one assessment, or did each of the assessments come together at the same time?
Now, actually, we started with the suitability assessment. Yeah, we found that there was a massive shadow IT out there. And what shadow IT means is that the business is doing and buying IT without the authorization of the IT area. Mm-hmm. So we're able to implement the suitability assessment that gave a cloud fit type assessment for the application or for the idea that was coming to us. Mm-hmm. So for instance, the application might be useful for a software as a service, or it could be something that might have to be more of a traditional model. So the suitability assessment looks at that cloud fit. It also includes what is the future path for that application, and really looks at what the delivery model and deployment model is involved. So after the suitability, we looked at the information classification, and the information classification is really important when you go into the cloud. You need to know that, it's public information and these are the risks, or is it like protected private information that you need to have those additional controls in place. You also need to look at the not only what the classification is now, what is it going to be in the future, because it can change. It could come from the data could be used in one way, and the data could be used a different way in the future, which might change the classification. So the financial assessment is the next one, and the financial assessment is really important because you want to look at what's the operating cost model currently and for the cloud, and then you can also look at what's the intended return on investment, and then in the future that could be looked at what's the actual rate, and that's a good comparison. And it's good to look at that because that's a line in the sand, like a baseline figure. So after the financial, we've got the readiness assessment, and I usually talk about the four chestnuts, the 4 old chestnuts everyone talks about. So you got the people, process, technology, and an organisation which is attached to it as well. So with the people, you're looking at what are the skills and capabilities that the people have? Are they ready to move to the cloud? Are they got the right information? Are they got any concerns? Is that done well and put in place? The organisational change, whatever's necessary to get those people on board.
Right.
The processes are also important because archaic processes that are manually driven won't work when you go to the cloud. They need to be more automated so that they can take advantage of being in the cloud situation. Technology architecture is important as well. Is it integrated? Is it able to be moved to the cloud, which where a vendor is in charge of those applications? And the final one is the organisation. Is the organisation ready? Is the organisation structure appropriate in going to the cloud? So that's the readiness assessment. The one after the readiness assessment is the migration assessment, and that's the bread and butter sort of thing for the enterprise architect, because a migration assessment is what we do. So if you look at the migration assessment, you need to work out with your current architecture and the application inventory of all the applications, you need to work out, okay, which ones can we move to the cloud, or which ones do we have to retain for a certain period of time until they can be moved. So look at, the next level up is rehost. So which ones can be lift and shift to the cloud and take advantage of that infrastructure as a service model. And then that top level you've got replacing, so that's moving to, say, a software as a service, where you're taking existing applications and decommissioning the legacy applications, and providing that new feature-rich functionality that you get from a software as a service approach. Yeah. So the migration is quite detailed, but it's an important step to go to the cloud for sure. Okay, then the security assessment, as we talked about, that's very important. One of the things that I've found is, do you have the right technologies to be able to move to the cloud? Because it's different type of security technologies than you'd have when you're in a traditional environment, and that sort of runs into the vendor, because the vendor needs to have the right legislation in place. You need to know, well, where is the geographical location of the data that they might have. Are they hosting in Australia, or are they hosting elsewhere? Some of the criteria, like HIPPO, those sort of legislations, do they respond to that? And there's Australian, state and local legislations as well to look at. After the vendor, you've got the risk. So the risk assessment is the final one, and the risk assessment needs to be done towards the end to make sure that all those assessments are done appropriately, to look at the impact on those on some of those risks. Now, although I talked about the stages in a linear fashion, I guess, they are all iterative and can be used at any time. So in this example, I've got the spider diagram, and the spider diagram shows the different assessments and how compliant we are against those assessments for an application or group of applications. And then look at those non-compliance and then have a look at how, can we live with some of these non-compliance? Are they non-negotiable? Do they require risk mitigation, say, to look through them? So I've got an example of, say, you've got a application where a vendor's the geographical location of that the data that's being hosted is outside Australia, and you don't have an information classification. So how can you do that with confidence? So that would get a risk of high or very high. What you could do, and it's an easy example, but you could look at that information classification, go through the right processes and procedures, and then that could be moved down to a low level. So in that example, we're looking at the risks and going through and looking at the non-compliance and how that would affect the business going forward. And it gives that confidence in going to the cloud. Ray, each of these assessments can be done individually, or they can be done as a flow going through the whole lot together. So they can be done mainly for one application, or they could be done for a suite of applications.
Right. So it must certainly increase the confidence of managers that the necessary compliance has been undertaken.
Yes, it certainly does. It provides the confidence that the necessary steps have been taken to provide that assurance.
Thanks, Nigel. I look forward to speaking with you further on other topics from an enterprise architect's point of view.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ray.